Board meeting. This evening I have the invocation and pledge. If you have a family that loves you, a few good friends, food on your table, and a roof over your head, you are richer than you think. And that's by allcupation.com. Please stand for the pledge. Thank you. Let the record reflect that Superintendent Griffin, School Board Attorney Ms. Beeman, School Board Clerk Ms. Moramis, School Board Chair Ms. Allman are present in person for this meeting. Vice Chairman Pennock, Member Sanchez, Member Kraus, and Member Calderon are participating by telephone due to social distancing. Superintendent, do you have any agenda modifications?
Yes, Madam Chair, I have two. The first is the addendum for good cause is marked on our electronic agenda by a green flag named addendum item. And the second is I need to amend agenda item 7, big A, little a, student discipline hearing dispositions to delete the recommendation for student number 2 from Lyman High School. All other student discipline hearing recommendations on item 7, big A, little a, are presented for approval as written.
Thank you. School board members, do you have any agenda modifications? Member Sanchez.
No modifications, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Member Kraus.
No modifications, thank you.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Member Calderon.
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. I have no modifications either. Is there a motion to approve the agenda outline?
Motion.
So moved.
Thank you. Second.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Motion passes. Dr. Griffin, no presentations and no district highlights tonight? Thank you. Madam Clerk, do you have any public comment forms that were turned in before the 4:30 deadline? Thank you very much. Dr. Griffin, do you have a recommendation on the consent agenda? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Next on our agenda, no items removed for separate. Could you turn your microphones off, please? Thank you. No items removed for separate consideration. Dr. Griffin, do you have a recommendation on discipline hearings? Thank you. Is there a motion to approve?
I have, can you please have him repeat? We couldn't hear.
Okay. As amended. You want it repeated?
Yes, please.
Can you please
Can't
repeat,
hear him.
Dr. Griffin? They couldn't hear you.
His mic is not on.
Your mic's not on.
My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the student disciplinary recommendations for May 18th, 2020.
Thank you. Motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
And
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Thank you. No unfinished business. Superintendent's report, please.
All right, board members, tonight we have a really important presentation. You all are aware, the 6 of us recommended that we have 4 task forces in Seminole County. And the first one that's going to formally make a presentation to the board is our reopening task force. They have been doing absolutely phenomenal work with an absolutely massive task with very little guidelines at this point. I mean, I think they probably have plan A, B, C, D, E, and their back pockets filled with other plans to help us. But it's a group of individuals who come from all different grade levels, backgrounds, and are here to just present where they are so far. And I really encourage board members, ask them questions. If there are things you think we need to be looking into, that's what this is all about, because they have put a lot of time into working through the unknowns. And I keep telling them, assume we are starting school as scheduled August 10th, and put together a plan to make that happen. So I can't give enough praise to this entire committee, but especially to their leader, the chair of our reopening task force. Let's turn this over to Amy Elwood.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin, and school board members. So across the country, as you know, school districts have been charged with the task of determining how to approach the reopening of schools. On April 22nd, Dr. Griffin did indeed assemble a reopening task force to examine how to best approach this work here in Seminole County. So thank you for allowing us the opportunity to tell you a little bit about where we are in this work. As he stated, this team is a very diverse and talented team of operational and instructional experts from within Seminole County Public Schools. We have representation from administrators at each school level, assessment and accountability representation, Department of Teaching and Learning, Red Apple Dining, Transportation, Human Resources, Finance, Legal, IS, Student Support Services, ESOL, Teachers of the Year, PTSA, Union Representative. We have Captain Francis and Kelly Martin from Seminole County Sheriff's Office, and we are extremely lucky to have an infectious disease expert, Dr. Sanchez from Orlando Health, and also our partners that we work so closely with during the school year from the Florida Department of Health. So we are thrilled to have so many different perspectives guiding us in our work. This type of expertise and guidance allows us to focus on all aspects of reopening and plan for a safe return for all staff and students, while still balancing the need to provide the warm, inviting, and high-quality education environment that Seminole County is known for. Our team began our work by developing a plan to dig deeper into multiple areas of need. While our whole team meets every week as a whole group, we also meet in subgroups in all of these priority areas of focus: staff and student wellness, school operations, facilities, instruction, and technology. I have brought leaders in each of these areas that run these groups each week to look at those deeper needs, to speak to you about their work. Obviously, one of the key areas for us was the emotional wellness of both our staff and students. We recognize that all members of our community have experienced the shared trauma, and mental health is a key focus in all of our reopening planning. So our student support services team, which includes our district mental health counselors, our school psychologists, our certified school counselors, nurses, and social workers, with feedback from teachers and administrators, are working on comprehensive supports to connect our home, school, and community as all of our staff and students return back to school. Considerations for these emotional support will be layered in their intensity with a focus on trauma and crisis response. We understand that we will have to work intensely within the opening weeks to reestablish those core practices, those foundations that we know are important in routines, socialization, building relationships, and establishing that school identity that's so key for everyone, and that has been greatly missed by our students and staff. We also recognize that both staff and students, some will need more than just that core foundation, will need more intensive mental health supports, and our mental health team has risen to that challenge, and we are also working with Cigna and our community partners to be able to provide more intensive mental health supports as needed for all of those staff and students. Obviously, physical wellness is a key aspect of all of our planning as we want a safe return back to school. We look at guidance from CDC and the state while working with our local health officials on our team. We were able to conduct walkthroughs at our school sites with health officials, and we are making decisions based on data and needs specific to us in Seminole County. I have asked Gigi Rivendera from Seminole Department of Health to speak to us tonight a little bit about this dashboard as we watch the Seminole County data very closely each week. Gigi?
Gigi, your mic is muted.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity to share a little bit of information about our COVID cases. I'm going to start with a couple of numbers for our state and then move into our slide that Amy has projected. So as of today, for the state of Florida, we have a total of 57,447 cases of COVID reported, 2,530 deaths, and 10,412 hospitalizations. As of June 2nd, which is the data that's projected on your slide, in Seminole County, we had 491 confirmed cases, with 7 of these being non-residents, 12 deaths so far, and the median age for those impacted in Seminole County is about 51 years of age. So the breakdown for our races is 72% white, 14% black, and 13% of the cases are other races. So far in Seminole County, we've been able to test about 20,346 individuals. And so as far as trends, and this is where the data is really helpful, for Seminole County, we have about 0.4% positivity rate, and this is lower than the state. State's current positivity rate is 5.5%, and this is the total number of positive cases compared to the total number of tests that have been conducted. We have noticed a slight trend back up. As of May 17th, we started seeing some increases in cases, new cases being reported. For example, for the week of May 10th to the 16th, we had 14 new cases reported here in Seminole County. For the following week, May 17th through the 23rd, we had about 24 cases, new cases in Seminole. And then the last week of May, last week, we had about 30 cases. So it's been inching up ever so slightly. So we're definitely keeping our eye on those numbers. We are continuing to work with a great team that Seminole County Public School has assembled for the reopening to stay abreast of the current data trends and recommendations. And based on the current data, we are definitely interested in keeping our eye on that age group between the 25 to 64 years of age, which is our workforce. And they have the highest burden currently of the distribution of cases in our county. So we want to stay mindful of them as well as our student population. So as far as the CDC still outlines that the transmission of the coronavirus occurs much more commonly through respiratory droplets, person to person. However, transmission is possible through touching of surfaces that have the virus and then touching your mouth, nose, and eyes. So those social distancing, hand washing measures, wearing face coverings when in public, and routine cleaning and disinfection continue to be the best way to decrease the spread of the virus. So those were the updates that I have. I'll turn it back to Amy.
Thank you, Gigi.
Sure.
So the physical wellness team meets weekly with the Department of Health, and as I said, our infectious disease experts. We are looking at areas to monitor staff and student illness and educate our population about healthy hygiene practices, looking at masking protocols for staff and students where necessary, cleaning and disinfecting protocols of high touch and high traffic areas routinely during the day, clinic procedures and isolation areas as needed for symptomatic students and staff, and identifying vulnerable staff and students and developing protocols for accommodations, and also what to do if staff or students become ill on our campus. Our school operations team is currently being led by Jacob Jarzinka, assistant principal at Winter Springs High School. I've asked him to come on tonight and share a little bit about their work.
Thank you, Amy, and good evening, Dr. Griffin and school board members. Thank you for the opportunity to come on tonight and talk a little bit about what our group has been doing over the past month and a half. You know, the primary focus of our group has been to develop and create ways for our students and staff to safely return to campus. And while doing that, potentially provide options to our families that may not be ready for their students to go back in a face-to-face environment. And some of those things that we offer may be things that we potentially have within Seminole County Public Schools. And also we're looking to maybe develop and create new things that would fit within our model to support those families. While doing this, we're also trying to provide a couple contingency plans based off state guidance in the event we are not able to fully return to school. And we've been trying to match those up with potential schedules. So here is our brain on scheduling as a school operations team and all of the ideas that we have looked at over the past month and a half. And these are not just the ideas of our team, but it's the ideas of people across the district. I mean, we have really tried to go out and seek ideas, and people that have brought ideas to us. We've tried to take all those ideas from stakeholders, including our subgroup, the team, admin from across the district, teachers, parents, and we've also gone in and looked at other states and potential plans that they're looking at to see how they may fit within our district. Any idea that we have, we've talked about, we've developed, and really tried to bring it to life. And bringing it to life, we've then tried to match it to potential state guidance in the event that is what we would have to do as a school district for you to evaluate moving forward. Part of schedules has been looking at dining procedures as well. We've been working with them in the event of the state guidance of how within any of those models we could take a look at dining procedures to keep our kids safe within those environments. Also, when we look at other school operations considerations, we look first at campus events, and that includes scheduled pickups, open house, meet the teachers, book fairs. Those are events for our students and for all of our parents. And how can we continue to keep those events going while keeping our kids safe? Arrival and dismissal procedures, we've really been looking at systems to organize those, to make those just more organized processes for the students and for our teachers and staff as they work to have a clean procedure upon arrival and dismissal. Also, campus visitors. You know, we have a lot of external stakeholders that provide a lot of value into our campuses that help them make the great academic institutions that they are. And how can we keep those external stakeholders coming onto our campuses, as well as keeping all parties safe? And then finally, extracurricular activities, when we look at fine arts, athletics, and clubs. And how can we not only protect the athletes on the field or the people on the stage or the people on the court, but how can we protect the people in the stands as well? So these are some of the things that we've been working on and developing over the last month and a half, and we look forward to sharing our first draft of recommendations in the future.
Thanks, Jacob.
No problem. Thank you.
Christian Swinson, our Assistant Director of Facilities, has been leading that subgroup team, and I've asked him to speak to their work.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, Dr. Griffin and school board members. The facilities subgroup has really focused on 3 main areas to aid in the reopening process. We've looked at cleaning and disinfection schedules, ordering of supplies, and other facilities support. Starting with cleaning and disinfecting schedules, schools are traditionally cleaned at night. COVID-19 provides some challenges due to the need to clean high-touch surface areas. High-touch surface areas are light switch, door handles, toilet fixture handles, etc. The effectiveness of cleaning these areas needs to be done during periods of high occupancy, the daytime. A solution to change our cleaning schedule from the nighttime to the daytime has been reviewed. Staff feels that they can create schedules to aid in a daytime presence while at the same time still allowing for the nighttime traditional cleaning and keeping the school cleanliness that we expect. The next point we looked at was ordering of supplies. We feel a central point of ordering and distribution for COVID-19 has some merit. The benefits of a central point of ordering and distribution are that they provide chemical safety. There's a number of chemicals that combat COVID-19. These chemicals, if they come in contact with one another, can have fatal chemical reactions. So in order to prevent that, having a standard type of chemical and a standard stocking of chemical is important. We also feel it provides adequate facility stock to prevent hoarding as well as under ordering of sites. It also allows for proper ordering at key points to make sure everyone's stocked up. We also feel that proper training and standardization of supplies is important. And we're looking at all those areas, and we're initially looking at distribution services as being that central point of contact within the district. As far as other facility support, staff is evaluating signage needs to aid social distancing cues and hygiene. We're also looking at clear partitions and barrier needs placed at strategic locations throughout the facilities. We're also evaluating mirrors as an aid to combat pedestrian conflicts to aid social distancing. Facilities will provide a myriad of miscellaneous support to aid the reopening plan as needed. With that, I'll turn it back to Amy.
Thank you so much, Christian. Bob Everland, who is my co-chair on this team, and he is the manager of software development for IS, has been leading our technology subgroup, which is no surprise to any of you, I am sure. So I have asked him to share what that group has been working on.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening, Dr. Griffin and school board members. Our biggest concern with going back to school is going to be with contact tracing with device use. So currently in all of our classrooms, students, if there's a computer or a device, they can just randomly pick them up and use them. What we would like to suggest going forward is that students at the beginning of the school year are assigned specific devices. That way, if any student becomes ill, that we're able to trace who used those devices and be able to show all of the different students that maybe came in contact with that particular student. Another one of the things we're looking into is cleaning protocols for electronic devices. Obviously, there's a lot of different chemicals that work really well with COVID, but do not work really well with our computer devices. So we want to make sure that we don't damage any of our devices going forward through cleaning. We may come up with some videos, things like that, just different ways that we can clean the devices in a quick manner that the CDC guidelines give us, but also don't damage any of our devices. We've also come up with detailed plans for laptop redistribution and returns if needed in the future. We also are looking into the utilization of ID badges for touchless entry and purchases. So currently we have ID badges in the high schools. We're looking at what that would take to have ID badges in middle school and in elementary, and use them wherever we can. So whether it be going through the dining services line, the library, even the Raptor station, we'd like to be able to use those ID badges. We're looking to proactively purchase devices and that includes laptops or internet hotspots for at-risk student populations. We're currently in the process of getting some of those right now. And then dining services is researching software to help with remote ordering. So this will allow students and or parents to pre-order food so that we can minimize the amount of time needed to stay in line. And also it helps to give parents some choices on what their kids have for lunch ahead of time. All right, and I'll turn this back to Amy. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. Allie Hilliard, who's our coordinator of secondary reading and curriculum for Department of Teaching and Learning, has been leading up our instructional subgroup, so I've asked her to come on and speak to that work.
Thank you, Amy. Good evening. While our instructional priorities for next school year do not deviate too much from the priorities we hold each school year, the impact of distance learning on our students and teachers must be considered. So for next school year, we recognize that we must first assess the academic health of all of our students through the use of varied formative assessments. In response to this data, we must then provide differentiated, grade-level instructional supports in our student success frameworks in order to accelerate any unfinished learning. Finally, monitoring standards-based growth, amending instruction as needed, and providing timely feedback to students will be necessary. We recognize that a strong collaboration with our ESOL, Student Support Services, and A&A departments is essential in meeting the individual educational needs of all of our students. Understanding the benefits of our time and distance learning and working to preserve these moments while maintaining a commitment and providing high-quality instruction remains the constant in an ever-changing instructional landscape. Thank you very much. Amy?
Thanks, Allie. And the team as a whole has discussed in every area that communication is essential. I'm very proud of the hard work and effort that has already gone into this project. Every department has put in tireless efforts into making sure that we can do this successfully. We are confident that we can return our staff and students back to our schools with a high degree of success and do it in a safe manner. So communicating with our community, with our parents, with our staff, all the different things that are in place to make that a success is essential. So using all of our outlets and the resources of our communications department is key. Education is power. And so the more we do that, and the sooner we do that, we think the more successful we will be with this. And with that, Dr. Griffin, I am going to turn it back over to you and the school board. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Elwood, and I don't think they left any rock unturned.
No.
And by design, they didn't bring specific exactly what we're going to do yet. They're making sure that they're covering all the topics that we could possibly think of. I'm very interested in hearing board members. Are there additional areas you think they need to research? Because each one of these slides that had 4 or 5 things on it, they're actually seeking input for each one of those. And there already are solutions of plan A, plan B, plan C, and so on, depending on to what extent we have to social distance. So Amy, first of all, thank you and everybody who spoke very, very much. And I'd love to hear from the board. Are there other things that we need to consider as part of reopening?
So board members will go in board member order, if that's okay for this, because it's hard to keep up with all of you on the screen. It keeps changing. Member Sanchez, you can just shake your head no if you have nothing.
I actually love everything that they put forward, so thank you very much. One thing I know that from being in the classroom, we would always have the names on the back of the computers. I would like to see, of course, the same thing with the headphones that they're utilizing as well, and anything in the playground area for recess and the equipment for outside as well. So thank you so much for everything. You guys are amazing.
Thank you. Member Krause.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. My thoughts or concerns, I have many, which I will send to Ms. Elwood. But initially, my thought was the consideration for perhaps like double schedules, certainly in that higher grades, because we don't know obviously what will be determined to be safe numbers. And I think we're seeing a lot of high school students that aren't logging on distance learning until later in the day, and consider that as an option or just consideration. Pros, cons, I know transportation is always a concern, but that might be one way to minimize big groups, which we're trying to do.
Thank you. Vice Chair Pennock, do you have anything?
I don't.
That's okay.
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Member Calderon? Dr. Calderon?
Mainly just wanted to say thank you so much, Amy, for your leadership, and to everyone on the team for their creativity and their tenacity. And the one other additional thought, maybe it was discussed, but it wasn't illuminated on a slide, was the use of any sort of UV lighting to help us with the cleanliness, knowing that we can't have janitorial staff in every room at all times. There might be some new automated systems that we could look into. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Thank you, Amy, and to your whole team. Very impressive. It's evident how much work and time went into what you've done. Have you talked about the hurricane season at all, and what it might feel like to get everybody settled back in and then knee-jerk and, yank them out again?
Yes, actually, we are talking about contingency contingency planning for any disruption of learning. So that is incorporated into our reopening planning.
Great, thank you so much.
Ms. Almond, just a few comments. First of all, thank you very, very much, and we'll continue to interact a lot. And as I receive further direction from the state, we'll be able to fine-tune our plans a little bit more. I love the one slide that Jacob put up here with your brain exploding with all the different ideas, and that's when you start thinking about scheduling in a social distance environment and having smaller groups of students. It's a challenge, but I think whatever we are asked to do, we will do, and we will be able to do it. I will tell you one concern I have is transportation. I speak to a lot of superintendents all the time, and transportation continues to bubble up to the top, and I think that we may have to, like Ms. Kraus was saying, maybe split sessions, if we have to social distance to schools, A/B schedules, part of the day face-to-face, part remote, and so on. But I think the very first step that really came from the initial presentation I had from this committee was us just getting parents educated and thinking about Seminole County Virtual School. And I can't stress enough that our virtual school is a 10-year-old tried and true program aligned to the standards with clear pacing guides for students. That took us 3 years to develop. I was there. I was in charge of the high schools when we worked on it. Think what our teachers did in 7 days. They pivoted this entire system to do the very best that they could do with remote learning. And my way of thinking is we use remote as we have to for the pivot, for the changes that could arise during the school year. And parents who really are concerned about having their children at school, and I respect that and understand it, really encourage them to think about virtual for a semester or for a year, because it is a great option. Seminole County Virtual School, run by our teachers, overseen by our district. It's a powerful alternative for families. So I think, and I send Amy almost everything I get from Tallahassee. You're probably tired of seeing my emails. But we will, as I get more information, and I will tell you, the governor and the commissioner have been fantastic and transparent, communicating to us as superintendents. I wouldn't want to be in their shoes right now. I think they're probably waiting until they have enough information to give us some guidelines. So I think our job is to do exactly what we're doing and to have Plan A, Plan B, and Plan C, depending on the direction that we are given. But Amy and team, thank you very, very much. You're going to be in front of us a lot. And I'm actually very anxious for school to get going, to get plans finalized. We're in June, and by now we are planning and scheduling and so on. So I can't thank you enough. And board members, thank you. I think your ideas for having task force and involving the community. I know you gave me 15 parent names. I'll be doing a WebEx with parents next week, just to get a different parent perspective. But I spoke to a few different parent groups. We'll be doing the same with students. But I really like to hear what people are concerned about, and even more important, their ideas on how to solve those. So thank you, board, and thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. And thank you, committee.
Thank you, Dr. Griffin. Board members, we're going to do any committee updates that you might have right now. We'll go in roll call order, or anything you want to share. Member Sanchez? You're muted. There you go.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
The only thing I have is the Central Florida School Board Coalition. We have not met yet, but we're trying to put a WebEx together just to see what other school boards are doing throughout our area, and to see if we can get any ideas together. Other than that, everybody stay healthy and safe, and have a great summer, and hopefully we can get through this and not get any more people sick and everybody heal.
Thank you. Member Kraus?
Yes, thank you. My committees have not yet met. This is another meeting prior to my 2 upcoming meetings. So I will have an update in the coming weeks. I would just like to echo your sentiments to Amy Elwood and the team of volunteers. This is an enormous job, and I'm very grateful for their work.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Vice Chair Pennock?
The foundation had our meeting on Friday, still full force. We're working on collecting, doing the back to school supply drive, if you can believe that. We are working on collecting funds and supplies for our kiddos. Mark your calendars on Thursday, June 25th at 2 o'clock. We are going to be doing a backpack stuffing and distribution setup. We need volunteers. We'll send you some information. I'll let you know. It'll be at the schools for Seminole schools. That would help us tremendously. We will be obviously practicing social distancing, so time slots are set up so that we can make sure that we're not overloading and having mass quantities there, but all assistance that we can get over there to help. Our goal is to do 4,700 backpacks this year. So we're looking for community help, board member help, and we had a great Arts Alive discussion working on what it's going to look like this next year and how we're going to wow the community to make sure that we're still supporting and changing the event in this type of a economic situation that we're going through. So that's all that I have, really.
Thank you for the update on Arts Alive. I was going to ask you about that. Dr. Keldrum?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Seminole County Regional Chamber of Commerce recently met, and we have voted and approved our annual budget, but as you know, it might need to be amended based on what we see happening with our local economy. And the annual meeting that people can participate to vote on the new board members will occur online, and if you want to go to their website to sign up, you're more than willing to on June 18th. Also, the Central Florida Zoo is open, and summer camp registration is open as well. So if you know anyone in need of a great summer camp, we'd love to have you, and it will be student-wise a lot less students, but still the same amount of teachers and obviously the entire zoo. And if I might, I just need to give a great shout out to two world champions that we have here in Seminole County Public Schools. Both Sanford Middle School and Lyman High School were named world champions in the 2020 Odyssey of the Mind. So proud of them. Out of 843 teams worldwide, we have 2 national champions, and we also have many others that ranked in the top 10. Second place came in at Woodlands and Wilson as well. So proud of our coaches and teachers. Hats off for their creativity to do this online during these times. And that's all I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Griffin shared with me earlier today that Seminole County Commission reached out to ask if we would consider participating again in CalNO. So I've asked Jill to put that on the agenda for the 6/16 open discussion. That way, if there are any concerns, we can address them at that time. I want to say congratulations to the 3 schools whose students won the Leadership Seminole video contest. In 3rd, Winter Springs High School, 2nd, Haggerty High, and 1st, Oviedo High. And thank you to our foundation for giving them financial support for their programs because of the win. And then lastly, Rotary Club of Seminole County South traditionally does a banquet scholarship to honor 2 students at every high school. This year we're going to do it by Zoom. There won't be any meal, there won't be any gathering, but we're very excited to still be able, our sponsors have most generously said, keep the money, give the kids the scholarship that they need, and so we're really happy and proud about that. So that's all I have for my report. Dr. Griffin, you have new business.
Thank you, Ms. Salmon. Before I jump to that, I just want to update the board. Yesterday I had a great meeting with the County Commission Executive Committee, and we were focused specifically on what our seniors want to hear on our graduations. And I was encouraged to bring our plans to this group because we don't know where we're going to be exactly with social distancing. So we want to really have 2 plans. The high school field option I know is the students would prefer to have everybody together and do that. And then also a plan B. So we I just kind of broke the ice with the committee on Monday, which was the 1st, and I'll be going back on the 15th with some final ideas. I'll tell you, the high school principals have been phenomenal generating the ideas. We will have Plan A and Plan B that all 9 schools will follow, whichever one we wind up with. But sitting on that committee is the Seminole County Medical Doctor, Dr. Husky, Donna Walsh, the Sheriff, Alan Harris, and a few other people from the county who were very, very helpful, very open-minded, and very excited that we're not giving up on these seniors, that we're still going to try to do something for them, and we are determined to do that. I know the principals are. I know you are. July 17th is the date. Exactly how it's going to look, we don't know yet, but I really appreciated the honest medical feedback in terms of setting up an event such as our high school graduations. So with that being said, we do have some new business, and I have a recommendation. My recommendation is that the School Board of Seminole County approve the charter application submitted by Florida High School for Accelerated Learning, Seminole, Inc.
Thank you.
So moved.
So do you want me to do a motion now? Okay, so is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
I will second,
Thank
but
you.
I do have.
Now we'll have discussion and presentation. Thank you. Good evening, Dr. Dellinger.
Hello, good evening, board members, and Ms. Beeman and Dr. Griffin. So as you all recall, because you were there, the school board received a replication charter application from Florida High School for Accelerated Learning, Seminole Incorporated, on February 3rd, 2020. At that point, the application review process began with an initial review by our team, as outlined in School Board Policy 9800. And I'll read this long list of team members just so that you can know who the folks that very carefully scrutinized the application. Our Deputy Superintendent for Instructional Excellence and Equity, the Executive Directors for Elementary and Secondary Schools, the Executive Director for Educational Pathways, Coordinator for ESOL and World Languages, our Chief Financial Officers, the Executive Director for Operations, our Executive Director for Student Support Services, our Executive Director for Human Resources and Professional Standards, our Director of School Safety and Security, our Director for Government and Employee Relations and Personnel Services, our Director of Teaching and Learning, our Director for Staff Position Management, our Director for Research and Accountability, and our Director for Student Assignment and Program Access, and finally, our Director for Red Apple Dining. This team of staff members reviewed the application, guided by the evaluation instrument required by the Department of Education. On March 10, 2020, the school board held a work session with the charter applicant. After the work session, the review team further considered the application and provided information to the superintendent. And based on this comprehensive review, the superintendent developed his recommendation to the board. So just briefly, the following is an overview of the application submitted on behalf of Florida High School for Accelerated Learning, Seminole. This proposed school is a replication of the program design currently in place in 15 Florida schools in 5 districts, including Hillsborough, Miami-Dade, Lee, Orange, and Palm Beach. Of the areas reviewed by the team, 19 meet the standard and 2 partially meet the standard. And I'll just briefly summarize the 2 areas that partially meet the standard. The first is Section 10, Governance. It can be found on page 11 of the application if you are looking at it. The team referenced concerns that the governing board members lack experience in overseeing and directing the operations of the charter school. During the work session, the board members were unable to answer some questions about the operations and functions of the governing board and the management company. We are concerned that this lack of experience could result in an over-reliance on the ESP in the decision-making process. Also, partially meets with Section 21, which is financial management and oversight. The review team referenced concerns about the electronic data security measures that will be taken to preserve the confidentiality of student records and financial data maintained on the ALS servers. And related to this concern, the team also questioned if a systems and organization controls report and/or documented data protection policy is in place to clarify how sensitive or confidential data is protected. Those were the two areas that partially meets. The other 19 meets the standard. And so this concludes the summary of the evaluation of the charter application submitted for Florida High School for Accelerated Learning Seminole.
Thank you. Ms. Kraus, is your question something you want Dr. Dellinger to address? Or do you want to wait till the next speaker? I can't hear you.
I don't know if the representative is there or if we're able to ask. My question is relating to how they're going to have board meetings, how they're going to govern themselves, where, who's on the board, where are they going to meet, when are they going to meet? That would be my question.
Okay, there is a representative that's going to speak. Mr. Michael Anna is here this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say thank you for the recommendation. The board is comprised of local individuals, and they meet at minimum on a quarterly basis, and typically they meet at the school site. If the school is not built yet, they would meet at a central location.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any other specific questions, board members?
I do have two questions.
Ms. Pinnock, please.
Regarding the concern on the electronic data security, would you like to comment on that to put our concerns at ease regarding our vote on this? And do you have immediate actions?
Absolutely. So I followed up with my IT department right after the interview, and we actually, all of the ALS and student data, we have a secure data internal warehouse. It is a closed circuit, cannot be accessed web-based, and it also has multiple levels of security on it to secure the data warehouse.
So you feel that you have addressed that fully?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. My second question was really related to your business plan. While it meets our standards, a concern was reflected that the application does not reference the steps have been taken to procure or identify potential service providers. The budget does not reflect real costs for using an outside company to provide transportation required for students with IEPs. Did you address that, and have you taken any action on that, or how? I'm a finance person, so when someone says this budget does not reflect, it makes me question entire budget. So can you please put my mind at ease that I shouldn't question the entire?
Got it. When we start looking at potential sites, which we've already started to do, we overlay what those potential service provider options would be. We then would budget accordingly, and any additional costs that are not in the budget would be placed in there and would be covered by ALS. In regards to your question about students with IEPs, we'll also have a plan that if a student is required by their IEP to have transportation services, those would be provided and budgeted for as well, and all of those costs covered by ALS.
Okay. And once this is all said and done, Dr. Griffin or staff, can we have maybe a follow-up on, or request a follow-up on what actions have been taken to address all the concerns that have been brought up in this?
We absolutely can. We will schedule a date to have them come back and just go through those concerns.
And maybe not even just the concerns, how the deployment of the school went, how it's going, how many students, so on and so forth.
Good. Exact location and all those things, sure. Right, we can schedule that. Right. Do you all have a site?
We do have one potential location we're looking at right now. It is approximately 1.5 miles north of Lyman High School, which would serve 6 district high schools within a 7-mile radius.
Good.
So if you looked at a map and you drew a triangle between Lake Mary, Lyman, and Winter Springs, it would be almost smack dab in the middle.
Good. Good. Nice central location.
Great. Any other questions, board members? Okay.
I do not.
Thank you.
Did you say yes, Ms. Kraus?
I
No?
do not.
Okay. Thank you. So we have a recommendation, and we've finished with discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Alman. Thank you, board members.
Superintendent recommendation with regard to final order.
My recommendation, Madam Chair and school board members, is that the School Board of Seminole County adopt the recommended order in the student disciplinary matter and enter the recommended order as the agency's final order.
Thank you. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Anything else? Okay, then this meeting is adjourned. Thank you.